In Atlanta, I've seen the least baddies so far.
Oh.
Yeah. We've still got a couple days. Maybe we'll find out. But yeah. I've seen like 2 or 3.
ShxtsNGigs is a huge UK podcast with over 1.9 million subs, made up of a largely female fan base. And now those same fans are turning on them after realizing that the fellas of the podcast don't care too much for black women.
Them sit there and laugh while this white man disparaged black women, calling us ghetto and all these kind of things. They're just sitting there laughing.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, I just think that James and Fahad don't like or rate black women. That's just the bottom line of it.
All this backlash started after clips of their multi-week US tour started making their rounds, beginning with what they had to say about women in Atlanta on the Poor Minds podcast. But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
In Atlanta, I've seen the least baddies so far.
Oh.
Yeah. We've still got a couple days. Maybe we'll find out. But yeah. I've seen like 2 or 3.
That's an absolutely crazy statement. I feel like Atlanta, Houston, and the DMV have some of the baddest, most gorgeous black women ever. And speaking specifically about Atlanta, it's been known as the black Mecca since the 1970s. And I think even right now, it's made up of almost 50% black residents. So for these black men, well, black and mixed, to be sitting on a podcast with black women in Atlanta saying there are no baddies in Atlanta, they're basically insulting the women on the podcast, whether Drea and Lex received it like that or not. James and Fahad are visiting a city where they don't know anyone there, and they don't know where anyone that's walking around that city is from. Those dudes just saw a bunch of black people, a bunch of black women, then went on a black woman's podcast and said that nonsense. So why are Drea and Lex laughing when they actually live in Atlanta? I have no clue, because you would have to imagine that those dudes were talking about them too.
Thank God we ain't from here.
I'm a Texas girl. You ain't offending me none.
You see, they ain't say Houston.
But the ladies proceeded to press them about what they're defining as bad and what their type actually is.
What is y'all's type though?
Bad is the type. Facts.
So what makes a girl bad?
It varies though. It matters how you own it. It can be like a skinny girl who wears the fuck out of being a skinny girl. And then you got a thick thing who just owns the shit out of being a thick thing. It's bad is bad is bad.
That's a PR answer.
A PR answer.
Yeah, bro yapping. I'm glad they didn't let him get away with saying a bunch of nothing after he had the audacity to say that there were no baddies in Atlanta of all places.
They're all beautiful if you have.
I'm not saying everyone's beautiful. I just told you Atlanta's clap. I never said everyone's beautiful. I just said I'm not seeing any baddies here.
You know what's funny about Atlanta though? Atlanta has a lot of transplants. So a lot of the people that
Somebody get bro a dictionary. He don't know what transplants means. He thinks she's talking about trans people, which is why he's making this crazy face looking around.
live here, like you rarely run into people when you're out and stuff that are from Atlanta. Like the real Atlanta people, they be in the trenches, like off of Cascade.
So in real time, Drea basically shot down his statement, clarifying that a lot of people walking around Atlanta aren't from Atlanta. Black people come from all over the US and the world to move to Atlanta, whether that's for school, because Atlanta has some of the most prominent HBCUs in the country, Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, or work opportunities, or just the nightlife, lifestyle, and environment. So when ShxtsNGigs came to Atlanta and saw all these black faces and said there were no baddies, they weren't talking about all the people of Atlanta. They were talking about the black women in Atlanta, which if you put 2 and 2 together, that simply means these dudes don't like black women. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a dating preference. We all have dating preferences. The issue is trashing a whole predominantly black city because it doesn't meet your preferences. It's not that there were no baddies in Atlanta. It's that the women that you perceive as bad don't live in Atlanta. But this podcast was the first domino to fall on the destruction of their reputation with their own community. After people got wind of their comments on Poor Minds, other instances and clips of them talking down on black people or letting other people talk down on black people without being checked started to resurface. Like the episode where they went on Andrew Schulz Flagrant podcast.
I'm here for it, bro.
I'm here for the multicultural. Really? Yeah,
Black girlfriend effect.
Yeah.
Came
You're
in,
into that.
Yeah. She came in.
What's the black girlfriend? They just come in and start fighting?
Nah, bro. You guys don't know about the black girlfriend effect.
She
just...
Wait, what is the black girlfriend effect? This is
you don't know about
just
this?
glow up the other culture.
Yeah, so you'll see a guy who's had a black girlfriend, all of a sudden he's got a buzz cut, like clean shape up. Glows up, bro.
I like that. I like that.
They shave their hair because they start losing it. Because they're so stressed being around this black girl complaining about shit all the fucking time.
That's why they gotta shave their hair.
Nah, bro. White guys with black girlfriends, they
grow
step,
beards
they step
because
their dick
there's
up.
more cushion when they get slapped the fuck out of them.
That's hilarious.
I think the black girlfriend.
Andrew Schulz is known for pushing the boundaries of acceptable and appropriate with his jokes on his podcast. But as black men sitting in those seats, Andrew Schulz shouldn't have been making those jokes about black women in front of them without some type of pushback or correction. If James and Fuhad didn't have it in them to do either of those things, like maybe they didn't want to be perceived as being disruptive, then the least they could have done is not laughed at the offensive jokes a white guy was making at the expense of their own people and fan base. But the funny thing is, when Andrew Schulz tried to joke about other black stereotypes, they either pushed back or corrected him, which means the only black jokes that they let fly that they thought were Def Comedy Jam funny were the jokes about black women.
And then Hausa. Yeah. What's the one? Who are the smart ones?
I would say Yorubas.
Yoruba. And then who are like the conniving ones?
I can't speak on that.
I can't speak on that. That's right. Yorubas, like, we're educated, we're going to school. The Hausa are the lazy ones.
According to you.
And then Igbo is what? They're the ones that are always, they got the scams. They're the greatest scammers in history.
According to you, bro.
There's no truth to this at all? What is the stereotype? We're just speaking about, like, stereotypes.
I would say stereotypically, Nigerians as a whole are scammers.
Can I tell you?
I wouldn't.
So we're starting to see a pattern. These guys go on a black women's podcast in a predominantly black city and say there are no baddies in that city. They're on a podcast with a white guy making jokes about black people, which is a bad look in and of itself, and only die laughing about the jokes about black women. And if you wanted to shoot these guys some bail, you could say they were out of their comfort zone, out of their environment, and that's not how they are on their own show, right?
She used to watch on a TV show who was obviously black. She was like, oh, I wish I was her. And I'm thinking, what?
Jesus Christ.
She kept on saying, oh, I wish I was black. I wish I was black. I'm thinking,
Jesus Christ.
what?
For starters, if he was black, you wouldn't be getting any black men, so I'm just saying.
That's such a bold statement to say.
I wish I was black.
I wish I was black. Like, yes.
What's going on in your life?
What? Do you know what I mean?
You're white, fam.
You're white.
You're winning. To interrupt, what is it with... It sounds like I'm hating on black girls. I'm actually not. Even though I'll come back to it, I used to have such a stigma against black girls because they used to bully.
You're white, you're winning is crazy. I really don't know what's up with all these black voices on YouTube, the Fresh and Fits and now the ShxtsNGigs that have such disdain and animosity toward the black community. They literally build these huge platforms largely supported by the black community. And after they can't hide their true colors any longer, they're exposed for being anti-black, not liking their own skin color, and praising other cultures at the expense of black people that support them. But the black women in the ShxtsNGigs community that felt safe, that felt comfortable with them, that felt like they had an ally, were offended by all of this and started speaking out against them.
But then to hear, them sit there and laugh while this white man disparaged black women, calling us ghetto and all these kind of things, they're just sitting there laughing. It really made me sad. It made me so sad that black women are always the butt of the joke when we don't deserve that. We are people.
Honestly, when it comes down to it, I just think that James and Fahad don't like or rate black women. That's just the bottom line of it, because we can do these think pieces, we can evaluate their body language, this and this, but I just don't think they like black women. I used to watch them back in the day when they were like 40k subs deep on YouTube, but because they were actually funny guys, but I don't know, I just kind of fell off them because they just grew unlikable to me.
Pretend to be disappointed, don't really fancy that. The biggest takeaway for me is the fact that black women need to start picking and choosing themselves. I've been saying this all the time, like men are men, okay? And there's some really great men out there and there's some really trash ones. Don't get too distracted with that. But don't. I do think that this is one of many wake-up calls to double down on loving ourselves, not expecting other people to do it for us. Acknowledge that when all men are in a room, they will be acting like men, and keep it moving.
And when the boys finally started receiving backlash, of course they issued an apology.
We just wanted to address something that's happening at the minute. This past weekend, there's been a couple of clips going around from when we did a session on the Flagrant podcast while we were on our US tour. And there were a few jokes made that were incredibly inappropriate. One specifically pertaining to black women.
Yep.
In the clip, Andrew was making a joke. I'm not even going to get into specifics. Making a frankly racist joke.
Yeah.
And we were laughing at it. Obviously, there's just literally no excuse. There is no excuse.
Agreed.
And fight or flight is a real thing. Like, it is, yeah. Fight or flight is a real thing, and it's so not easy to say, but when you're in those situations, you look at it through a lens of like, bro, if it was me, I promise you I'll stand up, I'll kick them cameras down, I would smack homeboy in the face, I would say this, I'll do that. But when you're in there, you're in shock.
And all you want to do is move on.
Yeah, bro, move on is the fucking word, bro. All you want to do is fucking move on. Just move on to the next thing. Just move on to the next thing.
There's
and like we had to say a few times, bro, just move on. Just move on.
So many different topics. You were like, move on, but we just wanted to
get out of that situation.
Literally get out of that situation, keep the ball rolling. And we thought it was going to be more of like a bros chat, but it ended up being something that's like really, really hurt people that look to us for support and look to us to feel protected. And protected is the main thing. It is our duty to protect you guys. Facts.
And it is definitely not cool to be in that situation. And again, not be the ones to stand up and kick the cameras down. And we fucked it on that occasion.
We did.
It's not going to happen again.
That was such a weird apology. Nobody was expecting them to slap Andrew Schulz, put him in a headlock, or kick over the studio equipment. Like I said earlier, not laughing at the jokes would have been acceptable. Calmly correcting him would have been acceptable. Or just plainly disagreeing with him would have been acceptable. But they didn't do any of that. And since then, they've gone into damage control mode, deleting 100 earlier episodes of their podcast from their channel, preventing anyone else from finding offensive content in their previous episodes, which of course will further tarnish their relationship with their fan base. And going back to their weak-ass apology, they deflected a lot of blame from the Flagrant podcast on Andrew Schulz directly. And he actually reacted to their apology and further exposed them.
They had shit that they asked to take out the episode. You know what they didn't ask to take out? Your racist slander. They had shit. Their producer, whatever, was like, hey, we really think that's inappropriate. We'd like to take that out. But with that joke about the black women, nothing really seemed, the fight or flight wasn't really there.
At the end of the day, much like Fresh and Fit, these dudes just come off as people that don't really like their fan base, let alone themselves. And it seems like people are finally starting to see what's under the mask. And if they're not careful, they're gonna go the same way as Fresh and Fit. But thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Are ShxtsNGigs going to be able to regain the trust of the black women in their community, or do you think they're going to go out the Fresh and Fit way? Either way, please make sure you check out the next video, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.